Welcome, friends. This is a user requested video of what Lightspeed bundle omegas you want to apply, just in general, and what zetas, of course. But that one we're going to kind of skip over just a wee bit and just do some basic stuff for that. But I didn't want to give you guys just a full list of omegas because I feel like that would take forever just going through each character. And so instead, I'm going to give you 5 general rules on what to omega. So the first rule that we're going to look at is basically, is it on an offensive team, an important team, or a team needed for an event? And if it's true, then yes, you're going to omega those characters. So like, for instance, Dash Rendar is a fantastic team. So Dash Rendar with, Queel and IG-11, they're going to be characters that you're going to want to throw omegas on. L3 goes with Ray, so we're going to throw omegas on Ray. So are they on a team that can be used right this moment? If the answer is yes, they are the people you want to look at for the first priority. The second priority, especially if you're close to an event, like finishing the Ray event, is are they required for the Ray event? Are they required for whatever event you're about to do? In which case, you want to focus their omegas. The next portion is about the omegas themselves, and L3 is a perfect example of these next three rules. The first rule is, do they increase the synergy of the team? The second is, do they just increase the kit of the character? And then the third one is, do they make the basic better? And then the rest can all fall behind that. And so like things that just say like a plus 20% damage, we're going to ignore those until we have extra omegas on hand, and then we'll apply those. And so we're going to use L3 as a good example of this. And so we look at her kit, we use her with Ray, we don't use her with droids, right? And so we're looking at, does it increase the viability of the team? Well, we look at self-modification, it adds Mark 3, and Mark 3 gives us a 100% counter chance and basically causes her to constantly taunt. So that's going to help, keep your Ray team alive. So that fulfills our first requirement. And then you're looking at the other ones and you're seeing, does it, increase the synergy? Well, at the first time each other droid allies reduced to 1% health, they equalize with L3. I mean, technically we could use this with BB-8 on the Ray team, but like you're going to replace BB-8 with Cal Kestis or Ben at some point. So this really doesn't increase the viability of your team. There's not really a reason to apply this Zeta. This one right here, reduce its ability cooldown by 1 if any other allies are prepared. Well, we're putting her with Ray, none of her allies are going to be prepared, so there's no point to having this because it doesn't increase the synergy of her team. Her basic, 20% defense down is good, but doesn't increase the viability of the team. So now we go to the next level of, does it increase the kit? This one does increase the kit because it gives more stuff to her. These ones, not so much because they don't increase the kit for her current team. So, yes, this adds more to her kit instead of just damage, but they don't do anything for her current team. And the last one, does it help her basic ability? And the reason that we put basic ability as a priority, is especially on characters like L3, is because she attacks out of turn all the time. For instance, if you're with a First Order team, they attack out of turn all the time. With Hux's call to assist and, First Order Stormtroopers, Zeta. And so on teams where they call to assist a ton or they have a huge counter chance, you're always wanting to look at the basic. And so 20% defense down, it's not great, but it does increase the kit, and she does use her basic a lot. So this would be one that I would say is worth it. If I didn't have a Zeta today that I'm about to apply, then I would drop for this 100%. And so you can kind of follow these rules for really anyone. Like we'll head over to Resistance. And you're like, okay, so if you don't have Ray, is it a team that you can immediately get going? With Zori and Finn, yeah, all you need is the Zori Zeta. So obviously you're going to drop the Zori Zeta. And then the Zori team is all about getting exposes down and removing turn meter and gaining turn meter. And so, like, we go into Rose, and it's like, you look at this, and it's like, okay, yeah, she gains turn meter, so this would be a worthwhile thing. It's gaining turn meter. And in Grand Arena, each gains 10% offense for each exposed enemy, which is amazing, and gains 5% turn meter whenever resistance ally scores a critical hit. When you have a team that's doing this sounds like a great idea. So this would be one that I would 100% do to be able to, get good viability on the team. This one, does it increase the whole days, or not the days, the expose train? When the stun expires, the target is dazed for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. Is it great? No. Does it help? Sure. Yeah, you can put it under that second tier of, yeah, it increases her kit, so it's good. But it doesn't fall under that first tier where, it helps the team itself. Whereas, for each resistance ally, remove 8% turn meter from target enemy. That kind of falls right inside that area of what Rose wants to do on this team, of gaining and losing turn meter and applying exposes. And so this falls in absolutely first priority, and then the they have the chance to apply exposes on hit. So of course you're going to drop something for a 50% chance to attack again, because that falls under helping the team be able to do what they want to do. And so, like, you could look at any of your teams and you can look at these 5 rules. Are they going to be used on a team right this moment? Is there an event coming up? And then the 3 ones that are actually the omegas, which is, do they help what the team's trying to do? Do they increase the kit of the character? Do they help the basic ability? And then if it's not any of those, like, there'll be characters where, you look at the omegas and, like, there's an omega that does something and you're like, that doesn't help at all. For instance, BB-8, if all allies are droids, BB-8 gains taunt for 1 turn. That's not going to help at all in any resistance lineup. Now, is that something I'm going to apply down the road? If I throw him with, General Grievous, or if I throw him with a shorty team? Absolutely. But it's worthless to me, so I'm never going to upgrade it. Also keep in mind, there might be people that you will fluctuate on a team. Like, honestly, I'm not willing to get any of Holdo's Omegas. Because, yeah, they're helpful, sure. Yeah, like, I could use these. The thing is, though, the moment that I decide to switch out Cal, or the moment I get Ben, she is gone off my Rey team. And so, like, there's no point for me getting her Omegas up, in my opinion. It's a waste of Omegas to me. You could put them on if you want, but it's just a waste to me because I know I'm going to cycle them out. And there's not going to be another home for Holdo. Whereas, BB-8, yes, I'm going to cycle him off the Rey team, but I know I can throw him with droids and he'll be great. And so make sure you're taking a look on whether or not you're going to cycle those people. And then briefly, I'm just going to go over kind of some of the Zetas to first do before Rey, before SLKR, and what you can do with the Lightspeed bundles. Kind of the most important Zetas that gets teams started, just from what you got from the Lightspeed bundles. First things first, Finn Zeta. Finn gets you the Zori team working. So you just need a Gear 9 Zori, Gear 8 Zori with Finn with a Zeta, and that's all you need. If you're going to drop another Zeta before the Rey event, drop Spice Runner skills on Zori. That will give you the ability to basically do the Rey event. And honestly, I would leave the rest of your Zetas until you get Rey. And then just flood Rey with your saved up Zetas. Because you want to get that ultimate as soon as possible. First order kind of if you have a ton of extra Zetas, I don't think you do, but if you want, you can also throw the ones on Rey's uniques. Not necessary, like, it'll help once you're getting into PvP stuff, but it doesn't, the herd uniques don't actually help in the ult tier of the event. We can look at first order real quick. First order, you only really need General Hux's Zeta if you have really good mods. If you don't have really good mods and you want to go bare minimum like my guide goes, then you want the leader Zeta on Kylo Ren and the unique on Hux. That will also get you a viable team to use whenever you need to. If you still have extra time before you get Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and you're looking for a good one to apply, I'd suggest getting the TIE Pilot Omicron. 100%. It brings this team up to the next level until you can get SLKR, and fits right into your Phasma team right after you get SLKR. But if you're strapped for Zetas, just get the leadership on Kylo Ren and General Hux's. And then save the rest for your Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, just so you can get through the event. Yeah, you can get through it with like 3 Zetas, but you want to apply all of Zetas ASAP because they're all amazing. We'll take a look at our Scoundrels and our Bounty Hunters real quick. So with our Scoundrels, we could apply, because you're going to use Dash Rendar as the lead almost always, you could apply this one. Super helpful because all your allies are always going to be prepared. So whenever a prepared ally scores a critical hit, all prepared allies gain 2% turn meter, which is insanely good, especially when you consider that his basic basically calls all prepared allies to assist. So, amazing. Does he need his Omicron? Not really. Not unless you're going to start working with prepared allies such as Lando, L3, Vandor, Chewbacca. If you're putting those kinds of guys on the team, then I would suggest the Omicron. But if you're just using what you have and you're putting L3 with Rey, I'm just going to throw that as you can do that later once you get Vandor, Chewbacca, because that's the most important reason to have that Omicron. So I would say Dash Rendar's unique is definitely up there. And then Queel's Zeta is up there. So Queel's Zeta basically just makes the entire team so much beefier. So at the start of the battle, other droid and scoundrel allies, which IG-11 counts as both of those, gain 40% of Queel's max health, offense, potency, and they gain 40% of his protection until the first time he's defeated. So basically, it just makes the entire team super beefy and your tank super beefy. And so especially if you're throwing it on defense, solid Zeta. And that's all you really need for the Dash Rendar team to get it started and going. For Bounty Hunters, all you really need is the Bosk Zeta. His leadership Zeta is kind of all you need. I would suggest both of his, but honestly, just the protection and health recovery is so incredibly helpful for Bosk that, you know, keeps the team alive. It allows you to counter Night Sisters. Like, you don't really need anything past that. And so that's kind of what you need for these things. We could go over, you know, our little guys that we got for getting Starkiller, but most of them aren't really things that I'm going to go over because they're kind of like, oh, it's only if you have a team here or a team there. And Emperor Palpatine, Mara Jade, and Starkiller work as long as you have, basically any Zetas and Omicrons should be applied to Starkiller out of all of those characters. Because there's much conflict in you is kind of where it starts to be viable. Force Repulse is another one that's really, really helpful for the Rey counter. But then at that point, I mean, you can apply these, you know, these Zetas when you can. But this team can work without Zetas if you need to. I would suggest Zetas, but it's not like one that I'm like, oh, you need to drop Zetas to make it viable. You just need to drop an Omicron to make that one viable. But yeah, so hopefully that helps you guys kind of get an idea of how to save your Omegas and that kind of thing just with those 5 rules. Just because, you know, you got to figure out what you need to use. And so it can be applied to literally any team whatsoever. Like, you look at Geonosians, for instance, and, you know, you're like, oh yeah, Geonosians. Actually, better yet, we'll go to Phoenix, because that's one of the ones from the Lightspeed bundle. You look at Phoenix, and you're like, what should I get up? And it's like, well, obviously, this is only 15% damage, so normally I'd say throw that out, except that Rex makes this team assist every time one of them uses a special ability. So that 15% damage is going to come very in handy with the fact that they're all assisting. And so that kind of fulfills that last one of, is it a basic that will help? And so, you know, you just look through these and you're just like, oh yeah, you know, 15% damage, that's not going to help me that much because it's not on a basic. You take a look at this one, you're like, oh, it increased 15% critical damage for all allies. That's absolutely going to help the synergy of the team, so I'm going to throw that on. And so you can go through basically any character and you apply this logic to the team, and you'll be able to figure out exactly what Omegas you can skip out on for the foreseeable future and exactly what Omegas you can afford right now. And so, like, you know, take a look at your teams, figure it out. It's not something that I won't I can go through and say, hey, get this one, then this one, and this one, without taking hours and hours and hours and making a spreadsheet and all kinds of stuff. But with these 5 rules, you should be able to figure out exactly which ones that you want to apply and what order, without having to, take the time to watch a 2-hour video of me. So hopefully that helps you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in my Discord. I'm always, lurking on there. So if you have any questions about Omegas, which one would be better on a certain character, if you only have one to spend, throw it in my Discord. I'll be there. Or you can throw it in the comments section on this video if you don't have Discord. I try to respond to all my comments. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.